Are these new Paris Corner fragrances any good? Let's talk about it. Hello, my name is Nixon Dice and you are watching Smelly Cat. Before we move on, I want to say that I've never ever been this close to 30,000 subscribers. So if you could hit that subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. Today's video is about some of the newer releases from Paris Corner. So let's move straight into it. For the uninitiated, Paris Corner is a brand from Dubai that create decent quality fragrances at a very affordable price range. They are pretty open about being an alternative brand, and more times than not you will realize what the fragrance is trying to be like by the packaging or the name. Today I have 10 of these fragrances which are recent releases. There are some that have launched after these as well. I tried to get them, but most of them are out of stock, so I thought that I'll pick another 10 whenever they come in, and then I'll make a newer video updating this one. But these 10 that I have in the video are pretty new as well. So to make this video really quick and not get into like a detail for each, because there are 10 of these fragrances, I'm going to rate them on a scale of 1 to 10 on these parameters. First, how close they are to the original. Second, the packaging. Third, the performance. And fourth, the overall rating. Now if you're wondering why I haven't included price in that as well, it's because these are really affordable. They do come into a certain price bracket, and most of them fit into that. They don't really have like a more expensive range and all of that. Some of them are a little more than the others, but they stick into a bracket. First, I have Emir Patchouli No. 7. This is a clone of Van Cleef & Arpels Midnight Patchouli. They've actually done quite a good job with this. For the match, I've given it 8. For the packaging, a 7. For the performance, I've given it 8. It gives me around that 8-hour mark, which is the sweet spot. And my overall rating for this one, especially if you like patchouli, my rating is an 8. Next, we have Emir Forbidden Sugar. This one, as the name tells you, is a clone of Frank Bucklet Sugar. It's a sweet, and some would say too sweet, floral gourmand scent. The original of this one does tend to get a little too soapy on some skins, including mine. For the match, I've given it an 8. For the packaging, again, I've given it an 8. It's a nice heavy bottle. It's got a paper covering in the box and all of that. They've done a good job there. For the performance, I've given it a 7 because it gives me around 6.5-7 hours. And for the overall rating, it could be higher for you, but I've given it a 7 only because this is not really my kind of scent. Third, we have Emir Wayward Charlie. Now this is another Frank Bucklet clone. They have 2 of them. The first was Sugar, and this is a clone of Cocaine. Again, Cocaine is another scent that I'm not a big fan of. I find most Frank Bucklet scents, Frank Bucklet, I don't know how you pronounce it, I'm sorry, but I find most of Frank Bucklet scents a little too challenging, a little not my style. It's the same with Cocaine, and it's the same with Wayward Charlie as well. As you must have guessed, I'm not into heavy floral, especially white florals. Now if you're wondering why I got this, I got it because I was really curious more than anything, and I hadn't seen a Cocaine clone, or at least a good one, and that's why I got my hands on this one. For the match, I've given it a 9. It's pretty close from what I remember of Cocaine. For the packaging, I've given Sugar an 8. I have to give this one an 8 because it's exactly the same packaging. For the performance as well, again, same like Sugar, I've given this a 7 because they're almost the same in terms of projection and longevity. And for the overall rating, I have given it a 6, even though I've given a higher rating in terms of how close it is to the original and how it performs at this price point. It's just not my kind of scent, so I'll give it a 6, but you may if you like Cocaine, you may give this a higher rating. Next, we have Emir Celestial. This is a genuine attempt at making a Ganymede-like fragrance at a very low price point. Let me know if you're interested in a comparison. I've got Ganymede, of course, it's one of my favorite scents. I have Voux Imperial. I even have Kenzo EDP and Kenzo EDT Intense. And I also have another clone from a local brand. I forgot the name. It's called Imperium, Elysium Imperium. And I've got this one as well. So if you want me to compare these 5 or 6 fragrances, because they are in the similar space, trying to be like each other, let me know in the comments, and if I get the time I'll do that as well. Moving on to the ratings. For the match, I've given it a 7, even though it's great at this price. Ganymede being one of my favorite fragrances. I don't even have to test them side by side to know that there are quite a few differences between these two. This one is a little lighter in the air. I want to say, not in terms of like the performance, but just in the air it seems a little lighter, less richer. This is more focused on the apple, and that signature Akigala wood is missing. That sexy suede is missing in this one. Otherwise it does a pretty good job at the price. For the packaging, I've given it a 7. Some people could find it tacky, but others could like it. Comes in a nice big hard box as well. I think 7 is a fair rating for it. For the performance, I've given it an 8. It does more than 8-9 hours on my skin, which is surprisingly good. I wasn't expecting it, but it does. It's pretty loud when you spray it at first, and it also does a great job. After like a few hours, it does last beyond that 8-hour mark. Overall rating for me is an 8, considering everything. The package you get at the price is really good. Fifth on the list is Emir Resurrection. This is a clone of Acqua di Parma Colonia Oud. For the match, I've given it a 6. I've seen a couple of reviews where they said it's very close to Acqua di Parma Colonia Oud. Either they've never tried or used Colonia Oud, or they probably have affiliate links in their description, because it's not really close to the Acqua di Parma. This one is a lot drier, I feel. It's got something stinky instead of that animalic oud, slightly animalic oud that you get in the Acqua di Parma. It completely lacks that sharp, tangy opening you get in Colonia Oud. Instead, it comes across as very sour on my skin. For the packaging, I'm going to give it a 7 because I've given Celestial a 7. It's exactly the same. Slight difference in color, and that's it. Performance is an 8. Try it if you like it. The performance will do it for you. I wish it lasted lesser because I've tried it a few times. I've given it a couple of chances and it's just not working for me. Overall rating for me is a 6. Personally, it's not my favorite from their recent releases. Next, we have Emir Trillium, which, come on, the bottle should tell you that this is a clone of Roja Elysium. For the match, I've given this an 8. The opening is pretty good, it's well done, it's pretty close. It does stray here and there a little throughout the scent journey, but I can tell you this, no one's going to tell you that this is not trying to be like Elysium. Packaging, I've given this a 7. It's a little tacky again, but you should remember that the price point that this comes at. This cap is, it looks good, but it's very cheap. But man, really, I can't expect too much from it at this price point. Another thing is you could also save a fortune if you have a Roja bottle. You know that they come without caps, the tester, sorry. If you have a Roja tester, they come without caps, and you could save a fortune by just buying this one and replacing the cap on it. When it comes to the performance, I've given this a 5. I know Elysium is not a scent that lasts long either, so you can't really expect too much from this. That scent profile itself is not a very long lasting scent profile, but this thing just doesn't last. I've tried, I've given the bottle some time, I've worn it on different occasions, but it does around 4 to 5 hours on my skin, and that's it. Overall rating, all things considered, even though this doesn't perform really well, together with that price and how it smells, this is a fantastic package, and I have given it a 9. 7th on the list is Emir Vibrant Spicy Tobacco. This is a clone of Byredo Tobacco Mandarin. For the match, I've given it a 7. There are some noticeable differences between this one and the original. The cumin is strong, but it's flat, if it makes any sense. And the sweetness of that tobacco, rich tobacco, is missing in this one. Packaging, I think this deserves a 7. They've gone with that Byredo look on the bottle. The cap is not magnetic though, and the outer cover, the box that it comes in, is this tin, round tin, which is also quite good. So I think 7 is fair. For the performance, I've given this a 6. Gives me around 6 hours, which is decent, I think. And my overall rating for this is a 7. On number 8 is the Triumphant Sapphire. This is a clone of Bodecia Blue Sapphire. For the match, I've given this an 8. Apart from the initial spray, I would say in the air it's pretty similar, although it doesn't have that sweetness and it starts off a little different. That thick sweetness is missing in this one. Also, I find that it's a little fresher and spicier compared to the original, and that bubblegum sweetness is a little more prominent in this one. For packaging, I've given it an 8, even though the box is quite simple. It's a thin cardboard box, but this bottle does look gorgeous, you have to agree. Think about it, if you have to give this to someone, I don't think they'll guess that this is a $25-30 fragrance, and if you're in the UAE and you want to gift someone, it's even cheaper. You could get it around that $10 to $15 mark. Having said that, I must say that I don't really like when alternative brands or clone brands try to copy. I know it's a little, I don't know, people say it's a little, I'm being a hypocrite, but it's okay with, you know, getting inspired by a scent and all of that. And that's a debate we can have at another day. But when you copy the presentation, bottle and all of that and make it almost exactly the same, I'm not a big fan of that, but hey, to each their own, right? Performance, it was a little disappointing for me, so I've given it a 6. I thought this would perform much better because the original is a beast, but this one gives me around 6 hours, so I've given it a 6. Overall rating, I've given it an 8. All things considered, because it does come pretty close, does smell good, especially considering that price point. It lacks here and there in terms of the finesse of the scent. There are some differences, like I said, in that freshness or that spiciness. That thick, rich sweetness, which is in the original, is missing. And if you're not really, if you're giving it to someone and they use it and they don't know about the original, then I think they'd be pretty happy with it. And even if you like the original and you're just not willing to spend like 10 or 15 to 20 times the price, you'll be happy with this one. On number 9, I have Emir Voux Elegante or Elegant, but with an E. This is Paris Connor's take on Xerjoff Naxos. For the match, I've given it a 7. Decent job, not really there, but yeah, when you spray it, you'll know that it's trying to be like Naxos. The packaging as well, I've given it a 7. Decent job. They've done the whole Xerjoff bottle thing and all of that. The packaging, in terms of the outer packaging and all, is also simple. For this price point, it's perfect. For the performance, again, I was disappointed, but that's my fault because I saw some reviewers and they were raving about how this is beast mode and all of that. For some reason, I'm not getting that same performance with this one, so I've given it a 6. For me, it sits much closer to my skin compared to Naxos. And when I saw those reviews, I was expecting a little more, which is okay at this price point. But I think performance, maybe because I've seen those videos, was a little disappointing, but does around that 5-6 hours mark at max on my skin. And the overall rating for this one is an 8. The last one on the list is called Not Stag Phenomenal Quatorze number 14. That's quite a mouthful. This one is a take on Replica Jazz Club. For the match, I've given it a 7. It starts off a little different, but then somewhat gets there once time passes. For the packaging, I've given it a 9. Honestly, they've done a great job with this one, although this is a little cheap and reminds me of the Ibrahim Al Qureshi logo. When you see the box and the packaging and all of it together at this price point, I think they've done an excellent job. Very sleek, not overdone other than this top part here, but the box and all of that as well, really heavy, really sturdy, and really something that you don't expect at this price point. Some niche brands can at least take a cue from them. For the performance, I've given this again a 6. Even Jazz Club really doesn't perform too much. It's a nice cozy scent for me, but it does okay in terms of longevity at least. This one is again closer to my skin and all of that, but it lasts around say the 6 hour mark for me. So I've given this a 6, and my overall rating for this one is an 8. Alright, that's the video guys. Let me know how you liked it. Let me know which of the newer Paris Corner releases you're most interested in. You know what to do. If you haven't subscribed yet, if you haven't liked this video yet, do so now. And until next time, keep smelling amazing.